Hey, greetings! Welcome back to Sean's Irish Whiskey Shelf, coming at you from the heart of the United States out here in the Midwest. And what I have for you today are three blended whiskeys that are really pretty much on the entry-level side. They're not very expensive. You should be able to find at least one of these on your shelf at your local retailer. Especially here in Iowa. These are whiskeys that you're just not going to, pay a lot of money for. And maybe you want to find an everyday drinker like I do with my Tullamore Dew. Or maybe you want something for your mixers. And if you make any mixers with Irish whiskey. So we're going to try these three and see how they stack up with each other. And heck, you never know. We might find one that's really, really good, and we might have to put it up against Tullamore Dew. So let's see what we got. So first up is the Busker Green Label. Now, we looked at the Busker's other three varieties: single pot still, single malt, single grain. This is just a blend. All three of these are 80 proof, so they are exactly the same. They're all three blended, so they're exactly the same. What your difference is going to be really is the mash, the distilling process. Royal Oak Distillery is who makes the Busker, and when we tried their other three, the red, blue, and gray labels, they were okay. They weren't the top of the list, top shelf, but they weren't bad. So let's see how the Busker's blended whiskey tastes. Yeah, it's going to be kind of like the others. It's, for me, in the blue collar palette here, I just don't find it as good as the Tullamore Dew. I don't find it as good as Roe & Co. I don't find it as good as Bushmills White. I can't quite put my finger on what might be different about this, but it just tastes a little more one-dimensional, maybe, or it's got a little bit more of a kind of I don't want to say an alcohol bite. It's not as flavorful, maybe. It's not terrible, but yeah, it's not going to knock off any of my top ones anytime soon. All right, let's talk about Finagrens. Now, when I first moved here, all of the whiskeys behind me had to make the trip halfway cross country, and until they caught up with me, man, I needed something to drink. And I saw Finagrens on the shelf at my local supermarket. So I thought, let's give it a try. In fact, I think they were sold out of Tullamore Dew, and they didn't have Bushmills. And I was kind of tired of the Jameson thing, so I gave Finagrens a try. Now, one thing about Irish whiskey that you can usually find on the bottles is information about the distillery. For example, I pick up the Busker, and it says right here on the back, product of the Royal Oak Distillery. You're not going to find anything on the Finagrens bottle. This bottle has some of the sparsest and least informative information, I think, on just about any bottle on my shelves. I had to do a lot of looking to figure out anything about Finagrens. Found out it is distilled by Cooley, so you should remember from a previous video, the Cooley Distillery, big powerhouse. They do a lot of whiskey, so this is just another card in their deck. Finagrens actually comes from a Gaelic word of a very similar pronunciation, which means fine seed. And that kind of harkens back to, as they put it, the care that they put into making the mash bill for Finagrens. Now, overall, when I first drank it, until everything caught up with me, I found it to be okay. I mean, I didn't snarl my nose at it or anything like that. So it's been a while since I've had a drop. And most of what I found online is that it seems like people really liked Finagrens for what it was, the low-cost whiskey that it was. So let's give it a shot. And I think it's, I would say, of the three, it's probably the darkest color whiskey of the three of these. So let's see what old Finagrens can bring to the table. Yeah, that's not too shabby. I can tell you I like it a lot better than the Busker. No competition at all. I think I would be interested to see how Finagrens stacked up to a Tullamore Dew. I'm not sure that it would win, but I think it would be a pretty good taste test. That's really not too bad for the money. So, yeah, I think that might be a future video when we're looking for something to go head-to-head with. And if you don't want to miss that video, don't forget to click the subscribe button down in the lower part of your screen. I'd love to have you as a subscriber if you're not already one. It takes you just a second or two to click that button, and then you will know every time I come out with a new video. Try to do one once a week. And if you liked this video, take another second or two, click the thumbs up button. That would mean an awful lot to me, and it keeps those YouTube algorithm generating machines happy. So, all right, now, John L. Sullivan. I found this back when I was living on the East Coast, and I was just starting to kind of get into the fact that there were other Irish whiskies. Tullamore Dew was really still my first introduction into Irish whiskey, and then of course my dad with Bush Black. And I hadn't really gone too far out yet when I found this on a shelf, and I liked the bottle. You know, it's got a picture of John L. Sullivan. He actually was a living, breathing person. He was quite the fighter, or pugilist, as they would actually call him. He was the very last person to win the heavyweight title as a bare-knuckled boxer, and the first person to win the heavyweight title as a gloved boxer. So this man liked to fight. And he was also good at baseball. And they tried to get him to play baseball, and he turned it down so he could box. So this is, the name actually is owned by M.S. Walker, which is like Cooley, another really big alcohol distillery distribution unit. But when you look at their website of all of their brands, they have gins and tequilas and scotches. This is the only Irish whiskey in their portfolio. So this is kind of unique to M.S. Walker, kind of like John L. Sullivan was pretty unique in his time. So let's see if John L. Sullivan in the glass brings as much punch as John L. Sullivan did when he was a boxer. That's got some punch. I'm not going to lie about that. So from strictly a taste perspective, I'm sorry, Royal Oak Distillery, but Busker is just not it. Right? Like I said, it's not bad. It's not terrible, but I really don't think it stacks up to Finagrens and John L. Sullivan. Now, between these two, I think Finagrens is going to be a little bit smoother than John L. Sullivan. John L. Sullivan certainly does pack a nice punch. You can tell you're drinking Irish whiskey, but it's not so much an alcohol burn. I mean, a little bit, but I think it's just a nice, almost spicy sort of, hello, I'm a nice strong glass of Irish whiskey. I enjoyed it. You know, there's whiskeys that I've had where the alcohol burn just turns you off, and that is not the case with John L. Sullivan. It's a whole different kind of punch, which it was actually really good. So I think for, again, my little blue-collar palate, if I had someone coming over that had never tried Irish whiskey before and wanted to be broken into it, I would probably start with the Finagrens, and this is all I had. I didn't have Tullamore Dew or anything else. I'd probably start with the Finagrens, just because it's a little smoother, a little easier. But if you want something to really remind your palate of Irish whiskey, and you can find some John L. Sullivan, man, pick it up. Pick it up, because this stuff is good. Yeah, I do like the taste of that, and I like that little extra kick. I will also note, I forgot to mention, that this is small batch, so it may not be the easiest to find. But if you do find it, and you have found that your palate is similar to mine, pick up a bottle. Give it a try. If you don't like it, hey, I'll drink it. I have no problem drinking it. It's, again, not very expensive. You should be able to get any of these bottles for under $30. Heck, I've heard that, if I recall, Finagrens was like $22 at my local supermarket. So it's not like I'm suggesting you go out and buy a $240 bottle of Middleton Very Rare. You know, you're going to spend a $20 and a little bit extra for any one of these. And it just helps to broaden your experience and develop your palate. So, all right, so that is all I have for you this evening. I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. I do appreciate all of you who have watched my videos and who have liked and subscribed it. You know, we're getting up close to 30 videos. In fact, I think this might be video 30. Should have checked before I sat down with y'all. And at about once a week. This has been a nice little ride so far, half a year. I didn't think that, I would go this long. I figured, I might get tired of it after a little while. But so far, so good. I'm enjoying it. If you enjoy it, not only can you like and subscribe, but hey, share a video. If you know someone who likes Irish whiskey, share it with them and get them to take a look. Look, I'm not here to tell you that I can compete with all of the super developed palates. One of my favorite Facebook sites is Irish Whiskey Fans of America. There are people on there whose little fingers have forgotten more than my whole body will ever know about Irish whiskey. So I'm not here to tell you all the nuances of what's in these bottles. I'm here to tell you what my palate likes, to maybe help guide you a little bit if you're just looking for an overall, this is what we like kind of thing. So like, subscribe, share, look me up on Facebook, Sean's Irish Whiskey. Ooh, try that again. Sean's Irish Whiskey Shelf. Leave me a comment there. Leave me a comment on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you guys and gals. Tell me what you're drinking. Tell me if you've tried any of these. If you like it, don't like it. I'll answer all your comments. I'd love to hear from you. So until we meet again, I want you to be safe and be well. Enjoy your Irish whiskey, because any chance to have a drop of Irish whiskey is a good reason to have one, but do it responsibly so you're here next week, right? I want to have a little bit of time with you again when we crack open another couple of bottles. And I will see you next week. Sláinte. Bye now.